Video 28 out of 90. And if this is the first time you've seen one of these videos, the reason I'm doing it, and I've made a commitment to do 90 videos, one a day, 7 days a week for 90 days in a row, is I learned about this thing called the Feynman Method or the Feynman technique. I can't remember whether it was a method or a technique, but it's just a very simple approach to teaching what we most need to learn and getting feedback on how well that went, so you can slowly refine the effectiveness of teaching, but for the primary benefit of learning things at a deeper level. The way I see it is potentially everyone who sees these videos can benefit. And I just got off a call with Builder's Business Black Belt. We have a thing called Feedback Friday where everyone gathers on Zoom and we share the week's gains and learnings. And I won't go into why we call it gains and learnings instead of wins and lessons like we used to, but there is a very important reason as to why we focus on gains, not wins, and why we focus on learnings, not lessons. It's worthwhile talking about. But what really came out of that session was the value of something that I have discovered. So in this video, I just want to unpack the story because I've been coaching for around 30 plus years, and obviously I've been learning. I'm generally always part of some form of personal or professional development community as a student. So I've always got a coach. I've always got someone mentoring me, challenging me and helping me learn things. Over that period of time, I don't know how many courses I've bought. When I first started buying courses, they were on cassette. And somebody listening to that now might go, what the hell are you talking about? What's a cassette? So it was audio cassettes, VHS tapes for watching videos, and then that graduated to CDs and DVDs, and then eventually digital audios and so on and so forth. But my point is I've been buying in courses and programs and coaching for a long time. And I know myself, I've experienced paying for something, investing time and effort and committing to courses and coaching and learning and books and all that stuff, and we get a head of steam or we hear about it. We'll look at some advertisement on a Facebook ad or something comes into one of our feeds and we go, oh, that's exactly me and that's exactly what I need. It's exciting in the beginning when we're unpacking it and gathering the information and we think, yeah, this is going to be the answer. But how often has that turned out that it's not the answer? It's not the complete answer. Like you may have got some benefit out of it, some gain out of it, but you didn't get the depth of value or benefit or gain out of it that you thought you would in the beginning. I've been coaching and had a coaching program for a long time, and it's probably been 11 years since we started Black Belt, which was a transition from the standard garden variety one-on-one coaching, business coaching that you may have experienced or known about. And we transitioned it into a one-to-many. So it's group and we all get together as a group. Over that period, there was always been one-on-one offered. So people could have one-on-one if there was something that they didn't want to talk about in a group setting. But I must say that when we went from one-to-many, the speed at which people would progress went up by about a factor of 4. So what used to take 12 months, we noticed would happen in 3 months. And I believe that was because of the community and social proof, where people weren't so skeptical about that might work for them, but it won't work for me. But when you're in a group of people who are in the same business as you, are having the same problems as you, and there's a bunch of them saying, I did do this, I had that problem, I did this, I implemented this idea, and now here's the situation. It gives proof and certainty. So the implementation of the idea is far greater. And part of the reason why we don't get the value out of coaching, out of courses, out of stuff we buy on the internet or what have you, is because it doesn't get implemented. And so a bunch of things happened in Black Belt over the past year that caused me to look long and deep into the effectiveness of our coaching program. And I just felt like I was spinning the wheels. I didn't think I was making progress at all. I just felt like things were getting worse. And I introduced called a check-in call, because one-on-one was offered, but people wouldn't come forward and book a one-on-one session. They'd just disappear into their cave and not reach out or not ask for help and try and fix their problems themselves. Inevitably, they couldn't. And it just got worse and worse. And because they didn't have contact with the community, which is a very positive, optimistic community, they would be in their own mind and things would get more pessimistic and more negative, and generally the finger would be pointed outside of themselves as to why this problem was happening. So that thing out there had to change before my problem would disappear. That's the sort of mindset that would often develop. So I thought, I'm going to attempt to fix this by offering a one-on-one, what we called a progress catch-up. And I created a big spreadsheet and I found out what they were doing in the marketing space and what they were doing in the conversion space and what they were doing in the team building space and the financial management space and their own personal development, blah, blah, blah. And I captured all of this stuff. So I was having these one-on-one conversations, and I would schedule the next one during the current one. So there was none of this, them not getting around to it and creating this big gap between our conversations. But what I started to notice over time was the problems that I was helping them work on. If I did a bit of a deep dive forensic analysis as to what was the root cause of this problem, we're always looking for that next bright, shiny object that's going to give us the success that we're after. But he would say that there is nothing that guarantees success, but there are many things that guarantee failure. And so there are things that we must do, because in the absence of doing those things, we will fail. And so, as an example, there are fundamental things that we would teach in the Black Belt program that we must do to ensure we don't fail from a financial measurement and management process perspective. If people are really busy and stressed out, they're so busy, got so much going on and lots of spinning plates, I would find out that the practices that we had taught them, and these are these things that if we don't do, they guarantee failure. And so I'm experiencing this with some of our members, many of our members, that things aren't working out the way they wanted them, and they're not making the progress that they want, and they're quite frustrated and all of that sort of stuff. You need to be making sure you're ticking those boxes to allow yourself the space and the energy and the emotion to try a bunch of different things to figure out what is going to allow you to succeed. But there are many things that guarantee failure. And I had this experience where I was invited on a podcast, and the podcast just gave me the opportunity to speak for it turned out 2.5 hours, very deeply about ideas and philosophies. And it was almost like a therapy session. I came up with this concept that took me weeks afterwards to unpack. And it ended up being called Mastery and the Moneyball Method. A lot of it was inspired by the movie Moneyball. There was a whole lot of principles in there about generally accepted practices influencing the whole baseball industry. I'd been struggling with helping people, and they weren't implementing these fundamentals. And I created this Mastery and the Moneyball Method, and I unpacked it. And I was using the Feynman method, the same thing that I'm using in this video right now and all of the previous videos. This is video 28 out of 90. And the purpose of these videos is me teaching what I most need to learn. So I basically spent 3 days with all of our black belt members teaching what I needed to learn more deeply myself. But the impact of it is the thing that I want to share with you in this video, is that the shifts and the changes and the progress that has been made with these people that spent 3 days with us over the past month has blown my mind. And I just, this very moment, got off one of our Feedback Friday calls where they were talking about the gains that they'd made and the learnings that they'd made. And it was very emotional. It was very profound. It just filled my heart, because these people, many of them going through quite challenging situations in their personal life, which affects their business life. Everything affects everything, right? But because of the things that we had unpacked in this Mastery and Moneyball method, it had opened up people's minds, and they finally understood the value of these fundamental things that we'd been talking about with some people, in some cases, for 10 years. And they've gone back to these fundamentals with a whole new enthusiasm, a whole new level of understanding. And the success and the shifts that have been happening with this group of people in the past few weeks, it just blows my mind. And so I want to start sharing these ideas with you, because if you can understand these ideas and you can start to implement them in your life, with your business, I believe it can have a profound impact on you as well. Because the key to this is, it's not about the information that you can get. It's not about going to another coaching course or the next bright shiny object or reading the next book or the next course or whatever it might be. It's about going back to what you already have, what you've already consumed, what you've already bought, what you already have as knowledge, as necessarily hasn't been implemented, but you have it as knowledge. And using these ideas, these principles in Mastery and the Moneyball method, you're going to be able to gain significant value out of what you've already bought, what you've already known, what you've already been shown. And so the return on the investments you've already made can be significantly higher. And I really want to encourage people to stop looking around for the next bright, shiny object, because that seems to be how we roll. We're always looking for that thing that will help us make progress, rather than looking inward and going, what is it that I'm not doing that I should be doing? And so I'm going to be unpacking these ideas over the next 61 videos, if my math's right. If this is 28, next one's 29, which will mean that I've got to do 61 more videos to get to 90. But I hope this makes sense. I'm super passionate about it. I really believe this is something that is very different, that I haven't seen anywhere else. Had I seen something like this and learned something like this from a coaching program that I've been involved in, I would have implemented it into our coaching program. And I think I've always been treating Builders Business Black Belt like a bit of a laboratory, an experimental lab for ideas and philosophies. And I've never seen anything have such a profound impact in such a short time. But moreover, one of the things we created for you is a scorecard. It'll take you about 2 minutes. We want more choices financially. We want more choices time-wise. We want more freedom. But there are many things that you are not doing that make you not ready for financial and time freedom. So love to connect, love to catch up with you, love to have a conversation with you. Go do the scorecard. We'll have something to talk about that is really valuable and powerful. Bye for now. See you in video 29.